Hi folks, I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're out here in the beautiful Arizona fall test driving the all-new 2014 Volkswagen Beetle Turbo. Now the Volkswagen Beetle, of course, has been known for the past decade or so as this car that's often associated with a teenage girl and maybe bubblegum, a trip to the yogurt shop to get something with sprinkles on it. But this new Beetle is a little more grown up and a car that a man can drive and go park in front of the gym without really worrying about being laughed at. And of course the Turbo is the car that you want to get because it's got the most horsepower. And for 2014 it gets a few more horses as well as the new R-Line package. So we're going to take it out on the windy roads today and see how it drives. For 2014, all Beetle Turbos become R-Line, which brings a more aggressive front fascia with chrome accents, a new rear bumper that better highlights the dual exhaust tips, and unique badges on the front fenders. Our Beetle R-Line with sunroof and sound had 18-inch wheels with 235/45 tires. Standard halogen headlamps are found up front, but if you go with the top-grade Beetle R-Line, you'll get xenon headlights, LED driving lights, and larger 19-inch wheels. The look is more sporting and masculine than the previous generation Beetle, with a lower and less cartoonish roofline and a more squared-off chin. Inside the Beetle, the interior, as expected, offers up excellent fit and finish, attention to detail, and lots of high-quality materials. Our tester had highly bolstered, manually adjustable sports seats with comfortable cloth that I liked quite well. Even with the cloth seats, you get bun warmers. The leather-wrapped steering wheel had a sporty squared-off bottom and had easy-to-use controls for audio and the instrument cluster functions. The 6-speed manual shifter is the best feeling of any Volkswagen I've driven yet, but remains long in throw. The Fender audio system is well worth the step up in price, offering 400 watts that blasts through 8 speakers and a subwoofer. The sound quality is phenomenal, giving you a boom you can feel from the subwoofer, even though it does take up a bit of space in the trunk. So full disclosure here, I have had about 6 Volkswagens in my lifetime, so I'm either completely biased or just entirely tolerant of these things. I had a 1984 GTI, which is still one of the best cars I've ever owned. I had a 2000 Jetta VR6, which was plenty quick, but it handled like an aluminum fishing boat with an outboard motor. And since then I've had 4 new Beetles, which is the last generation Beetle. And I'm not exactly sure why I've had those cars, because like that Jetta, they also handle like an aluminum fishing boat with an outboard motor. So as you watch this review, keep in mind that I am a Volkswagen nut, and whether I'm completely biased or tolerant, you'll have to decide. And the handling on this Beetle cannot be compared to a fishing boat in the least. Based on the same chassis as the current Golf, the Beetle R-Line has a much tighter suspension and steering than the last generation Beetle. A multi-link rear suspension and struts up front give a well-connected feel that rarely disappoints. The R-Line has larger 12.3-inch front disc brakes, which are noticeably stronger than the base binders. The electronic power steering is still a bit vague, though weighted well for aggressive driving. On the windy road up here, I found that only when you approach rougher surfaces does the Beetle's feathers become ruffled. Under power on curves, the steering gets a little light and flittery at times, offering a bit of unwanted kickback. The 2-liter direct-injected turbocharged engine performs well, offering up a healthy 210 horsepower for 2014. In the hills here, it gives a nice push in the back that was a good friend with the 6-speed manual transmission. The biggest thing that really jumps out at me is this drive-by-wire throttle. You know, all of them put the computer between you and your right foot, meaning that you tell the computer you want more power, the computer decides whether it wants to give it to you. The tuning on this one tends to be more biased towards letting the computer decide what you're going to get as opposed to being your power slave. And so what I found is when you put your foot in the throttle, you never really know what you're going to get, because if it's in a certain gear, the air conditioner's on, the radio's on, any number of things are going to tell that computer to go, no, I might not give him all the power he wants. In the end, however, the drive-by-wire throttle is all about fuel economy, and the Beetle R-Line doesn't disappoint. It's rated by the APA at 21 miles per gallon city and 30 miles per gallon highway, In my time with the Beetle, I saw as high as 38 miles per gallon on the freeway with an average combined observed of 28 miles per gallon. Not bad at all. This car has three things that make me kind of go, And the first one is that it's got this device under the hood called a soundificator. And that takes the engine's intake note and it pipes it into the interior. And the whole idea of it is it gives you more of a driving experience. You get to hear the motor. But what they've done is they've actually made it sound like the base 5-cylinder engine, which is curious because why would you do that? I mean, the turbo 4-cylinder engine, if it's done right, can sound very good on its own right. And honestly, I've never really been a big fan of that 5-cylinder engine because in my opinion, it sounds like a garbage truck. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this sunshade here. You know, most sunroofs have a solid sunshade so that when you close them, they give you a complete opaque experience. This one here is sort of a mesh, and while I get the kind of cool look it gives, it feels like a heat lamp over my head even when it's shut. And here in Arizona, that's a big deal. And the last thing is this car does not have a button to turn off the traction control. Now I know it's a Beetle and it's supposed to be more laid back, but the reality is, you know, even if I have a Beetle, I'd like to go fry the tires off like a crazy rabbit once in a while, and not being able to turn that off really puts a damper on that. The Beetle is still a nostalgic car which by its nature is meant to appeal to a wider band of customers than say a Golf GTI. Therefore, it's a little softer around the edges and doesn't offer highly focused performance features you might expect in one. The Beetle is a more well-rounded package, if I may play a pun. Well, you know folks, the takeaway from this test drive today is the fact that this Beetle has really grown up. It's a lot more mature and it's a serious car where in the past it wasn't always very easy to take it seriously. And really the only faults I found with it today, and actually I should call them quirks because I am a Volkswagen nut after all, the quirks were some of those things on the drive that we talked about on the way up here today. So this week we give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. For a more in-depth review and photo gallery, see our report on gasmiler.com.